do not leave up this specific process. No landlord will be legally entitled to give you the keys of the apartment. It's not a big process, it's an easy process. There is also an eligibility where you can get the same Ilevia pass for €4. If you do not do it within that specific period of time, your visa gets cancelled. Hi, hello, and welcome back, my dear friends. It's your Nawaz Sharif back with the new content. So, in today's video, we will be speaking about everything you need to do before and after coming to France. Specifically speaking about what you need to do after coming into France. So, let's first start with the home insurance. The home insurance is something that is very, very necessary, and that's the most important thing that you will need once you land, or even before you land, to be very honest, because without a home insurance, no landlord will be legally entitled to give you the keys of the apartment, because that is the rules that only when the student or anyone who's renting an apartment in France has to have a home insurance, and then is when the landlord can actually give you the keys. For example, when I landed, I was staying with one of my friends, and he was stopped and he was asked to get a home insurance, and we searched up randomly on online and bought a random home insurance and done. And only after the payment was made, we were given the keys to the apartment. Though we had a travel of 12 to 15 hours, and we traveled a long way from our country to Paris, from Paris to Lille, and so and so. We were not given the keys to our apartment, even though it was a big travel for us. We were ensured that we had a home insurance, and then only given our keys. And then we get into the university registration. For me, there was no process like registering into the university. However, few of you guys or anyone watching this video will have any registration process. It's you who has to get in touch with the university, get to know if there is any registration process that you need to do while you get into the university before you go for university classes start. And then comes is your budget. So speaking about budget, the budget is going to be the essential part of you when you get into any international country, or when you go out of your country. So basically, the first months, that is the initial months of the first month or the second month or the third month, the first 3 months, I would say that the students must focus on allocating their budget for the specific months. For example, where I lost track was my expenses onto food, my expenses onto buying stuff to settle my first apartment, then settling up for my bank and my travel, especially. I would highly advise that you have a proper track of what you spend. Initially, when I landed, I didn't know what to eat, where to buy, and what to do. So I believe watching this video is going to really help you out for France, especially. So I always spent minimum of a 5 to 10 euros for per meal when I landed my first month, and my expenses for the first month on my meals alone went for 300 euros, where it was not supposed to be that expensive, to be very honest. So estimated, I can say it only took 100 or 150 when I actually planned for myself. So you can see that it was twice the amount that I can actually spend onto the expenses. So I would highly recommend students to plan where to buy and what exactly to buy, and knowing the city, knowing the place that you're living, knowing the locality or the neighborhood that you're going to live in is the most important thing that I would highly advise. So what I did was I identified butchery shops, I identified local supermarkets, I identified the Indian store where I would get all my masalas and my stuff, and this really cuts price down. And I started cooking at home, and it really brought my expenses down for at least for about 100 euros. So that is actually a good impact. When you keep eating outside, it's going to increase your budget at the end of the day, to be very honest. The next most important thing, as I mentioned, is the transport card. So every city in France has its own transportation card. So for example, when it comes to Lille, we have Ilevia cards. So these Ilevia cards have different packages, and usually all the European countries have different packages for young professionals like us. So anyone between 18 to 26, we always have this special discounts. For example, when you are until 26 in Lille, Ilevia allows you to buy per month pass for 32 euros, which is what I did. So in the initial days, I didn't know how to go and where to go and get these cards. So I usually used to keep on delaying, saying, it's okay, it's just 1.8 euros every time I travel on the metro. But at the end of the day, it cost me a lot, to be honest. I think I spent around 40 euros just for my travel for, I think, a week, but wherein the whole month's pass was just 32 euros and unlimited. So that's the most important thing that I would advise. The moment you go, just go get the card. And there are different packages. And in my opinion, for lead in specific, just to be very clear, I would advise that there is this 32 euros pack which allows you unlimited travel on metro, tram, and bus in Ilevia unlimited card pass. So you can get this card in the initial months on the first or second month, and once you are done with your setting up of your bank account and your SIM card, and then you can go with this thing which allows you for a potential discount. You can get the same card for 27 euros every month, automatic debit. So for the whole year, it's going to automatically debit, and it's just 27 euros all around for the same unlimited pass of tram, bus, and metro. So you can get this pass for yourself. And then there is also an eligibility where you can get the same Ilevia pass for 4 euros. Is something that I would advise you guys to look onto. There are a few documents. You must go to Ilevia office. They will request for a few documents. You must submit the documents to them, and potentially between 1 to 2 weeks, they will review the documents and whether you are eligible for this one. If not, they will not. But if you are eligible, you can potentially get it for 4 euros, just for 4 euros, where you don't need to pay 27 or 32 euros. No, 4 euros per month and unlimited travel is possible, and you must go and refer to Ilevia office for this specific deal. So every potential city has an operation like this. So you must reach out to them and get the transport card. And speaking about groceries in France, Aldi is the cheapest among all the supermarkets. And I would advise all the students to potentially go to Aldi and procure your stuff if you're looking for a supermarket. Potentially wherein Carrefour or Auchan can potentially be quite expensive in comparison. So I wouldn't advise students to be going to Carrefour's. However, it totally depends on what product you're looking for. The Carrefour's usually have big supermarkets, so you usually tend to get a lot of variants or a lot of different segments of products and different brands and all these things. The price might be quite higher, but you get a lot of stuff and you have everything over there. For example, in Lille, Gambetta has the biggest Carrefour supermarket, so you get everything, and people all around come to this specific Carrefour to procure anything that you would need. So that this is very important that you know. But potentially for essentials for students, I would advise Aldi at the most, because the price is comparatively cheaper. For example, you need a everyday procurement like fruits, vegetables, eggs, milk, and stuff like this for your daily groceries. This Aldi would be the best that I would recommend. And groceries, I would also advise that you identify local supermarkets. For example, in Lille, we have Wazem's Sunday Market, or you have shops adjacent to this specific area where you can go and potentially procure products for even cheaper price. And buying meat in these supermarkets can be potentially be expensive, but in my opinion, you can identify butchery shops where you can get for cheaper prices, and they would and I would advise that if you are looking forward towards halal options, you can go for butcheries rather than supermarkets. While that's what would be my advice, because throughout my period, I locally went to butchery shops for fresh meat and also for halal certified meat. So yes, that would be my advice on the groceries. And essential shopping, again, as I mentioned, you can go to Aldi. So for bank account, I would highly advise Société Générale, because I personally use Société Générale, and I recommended a lot of students, a lot of my friends as well, to open in Société Générale, because the first reason is, when you are a student and when you are a young professional, it allows you, and you are eligible to get 80 euros as your bonus, and you get 80 euros direct once you open your bank account. You don't need any deposit amount, nothing. You just get your 80 euros when you open your bank account. And anyone who's referring you will potentially also get paid 50 euros. And if you are referring anyone after you open your account, you also are eligible to get 50 euros, and you can potentially refer three people. So that makes it 150 euros again. And there's one important thing. These banks in France, they charge you the bank account maintenance fee every month or every year, depending on the brand it is or the company it is. And while I compare personally between SG, BNP, and CIC, I potentially see that SG is the cheapest in that and is the best for students because it charges you only €1 for 2 years' time. So potentially for me, someone like me who has been here for 1 year, I've paid only 50 cents in total, I believe, and I have kept a track, and there's nothing more that they charged. While my friends in BNP paid, for example, I believe €3 a month, which is making it to €24 plus for a year. So I paid, while I paid only 50 cents, they paid 24, which is almost 20 times more than what I have paid. So, in my opinion, SG would be the best option. I would always stand for Société Générale in that case. And also, it's a very big bank, as you know. Yes, I would highly advise that students go to SG rather than any other banks for this case. For administrative tasks, for example, after you enter into France, you will have to do your visa validation, and you have to do it within 3 months' time. And I would not advise you go under 3 months to validate it, because if you do not do it within that specific period of time, your visa gets cancelled no matter what. You must do that. I think there's a fees of €50. I paid a €50 fee and I'm done with that. And it's not a big process, it's an easy process. If you have a doubt with that, you can surely reach out to me and I will help you with that situation. However, you must do this as early as possible and as early as you land into France, so that your stay in France goes as smooth as it is. So yeah, the administrative tasks like getting done with your visa validation and also social security, do not leave up this specific process. A lot of students, they don't know how to do it, they don't know what to do, they don't know where to apply, and they just leave it off. But this involves everything that you truly need, because as a student you must have this one. And even if you want to go for internship, for your job, you want to get your pay slip and all these reasons and all these things, you need your social security number, and this is very essential. And even tomorrow if you fall sick, you don't need to pay anything. This covers majority of your at most of the times it covers 100%, at times it covers 60% depending on your situation and your case. But this is very essential. If not, healthcare in France is going to be expensive for you. And I know personally for my friends whose bill came up to €80 and so on, so they got it 100% covered just by the French government. But there were also my friends who paid €100 as their bill just for consultation fee for a doctor because they were sick. So it totally depends upon how serious you take things, but I would advise you get done with all these administrative tasks as early as possible in the first month or the second month that you arrive into France. These were the important things that I really wanted to explain to you, and these are the essential things that you must do as early as you land into France. So for any doubt or clarification, do not hesitate to write down in the comment section or reach out to me on my Instagram. And until the next content, it's your Nawaz Sharif with the new content. Thank you.